Yesterday, I looked at a storyline featuring Batman and Count Dracula, so I find it only fitting that I look at one today combining Superman and Frankenstein's monster, the Superman monster from 1999. Much like Red Rain, it was made under the Elseworlds imprint, set outside the greater DC Universe continuity. It was inspired by Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein and depicts Superman in a role similar to that of Victor Frankenstein's creation. We begin our story in the Iceberg Lounge. The year is 1888. Newspaper editor Peregrine White is talking to his friend Commissioner Gordon and tells him a tale of tragedy and crimes against nature that were committed 5 years ago. In Ingolstadt, Switzerland, we are introduced to philosophy student Victor Luther. He has been thrown out of college due to his macabre and misguided experiments attempting to revive the dead, something the professors believe go against the rules of God and nature itself. For days, Victor locks himself away in his laboratory, drowning himself in his work. His fiancée, Eloise Edge, feels neglected though and hopes to persuade her father that they belong together. They decide to throw an engagement party to let everyone know their intentions, though deep down, Luther seems to care more about the dowry than the marriage itself, that is the wealth he will acquire from her family from the union. 2 weeks later at the party, Victor speaks with Eloise's father, Burgomaster Morgan Edge, about marrying his daughter. Furious, he believes Victor is only after her money, causing Luther to storm out. On the outskirts of the Edge estate, Victor ponders to himself about the desire to see his work through to completion. Just then, a mysterious object falls from space and crashes nearby. He touches the rocket and it opens, revealing the remains of a small infant. A projection appears of Jor-El, a Kryptonian scientist. He explains that he had sent his son Kal-El to this planet to avoid the destruction of theirs. Using the rocket's systems, it will allow him to survive and holds the secrets to life, not to mention the advanced sciences of Krypton, which piques the interest of Luther. He would rent out an isolated house and take the rocket there to study, learning everything he could about the Kryptonian race and their secrets in regards to science. Victor would then purchase body parts of cadavers from a grave robber, but would kill him so he wouldn't tell anyone about what he's doing there. Luther would design a revival matrix and create a human body using the parts of others, as the projection of Jor-El watches on. Using electricity, he powers the matrix and its fluids. A storm overhead also provides some much-needed juice, causing the liquid to bubble. The container breaks open, and the once dead tissue has been brought back to life. It's alive. Superman lives. Luther quickly realizes the horrors of his actions as his monstrous creation makes his way towards him. Scared of his grotesque experiment and what it would do to his reputation, he accidentally knocks over chemicals which start a fire. The flames don't harm the monster though, and he saves his creator. As they fly through the sky, they are struck by lightning which grounds them, knocking out Luther as the monster departs. The next day, Victor goes into town to warn the people and offer a reward to anyone who can kill the monster so the truth behind its creation would remain a secret. The monster has been hiding out, scared of all the noise and commotion. A carriage loses control, and the monster stops it out of some human response or instinct. Inside is Eloise Edge, who is not afraid of him. The townsfolk, however, believe he will kill them all and scare him away. He goes to the forest where he finds Johann and Martha Kant and takes shelter in their barn at night. The monster is awoken the next morning to Johann's screams, getting attacked by a bear. He darts out of the barn and chucks it into the sky, which is fucking hilarious. To repay him, the Kants give him food, shelter, and teach him as much as they could manage. Months go by and the monster becomes more confident and healthy. His scarring begins to disappear, and the Kants name him Claus, after their son who had died in a foreign war. Claus lives a happy life with the Kants, but an onlooker realizes who he is and returns to town. Later, Claus tells his adoptive parents that he will seek out his creator to get answers about his heritage. Just then, musket fire breaks through the windows. Luther is outside holding a cane, with a green crystal on the end, from the rocket's crash site. He has gathered a militia of townsfolk to kill the monster, setting fire to the Kant's home. Johann runs out to stop them, but suffers a heart attack and dies. Claus tries to get at Luther, but is injured by the piece of kryptonite on Victor's cane. The monster hears a scream and runs inside to save his mother, as the villagers believe he has died. Luther returns to town for his wedding, but it is crashed by the monster Superman. Victor tries to shoot him, but the bullets bounce off, striking Morgan Edge and mortally wounding his daughter, Eloise. Luther's best man, James Olafsson, searches the mansion after the guests run away in fear to find Morgan Edge smothered on the couch he had been taken to. Olafsson finds Victor in his laboratory, attempting to bring Eloise back from the dead. He is shot by Luther and thrown down a pit. It's there where he finds the monster, bound and weakened by a kryptonite chain. Eloise lives once again, thanks to the revival matrix. She tells Victor that he has made her into a monster. Superman breaks through the wall, set free by Olafsson. Superman incapacitates Luther, who is then caught in an explosion. The monster then asks Eloise if he can save her again, and she accepts his embrace, realizing that they belong together as Victor's lab is destroyed. We cut back to the Iceberg Lounge for an epilogue. Peregrine tells Gordon that the story is true because while he was on a boat that was stuck in the ice in the North Pole, he and his men saw a figure in the distance. The man was Victor Luther, and they thought he was delusional at first. He lasted one night before dying from exhaustion and cold, and Peregrine read his journal, which documented everything that had happened, and even spoke of a fortress of solitude where Claus and Eloise lived in harmony. Peregrine would be confronted by a now perfect Superman, who had come for his creator. As he leaves with Victor's corpse, he freed their ship from the ice with heat vision. The tale ends and Gordon wonders if he could ever top that story in the future. They depart the Iceberg Lounge until the next time they meet. The Superman monster is an interesting twist on the classic Frankenstein tale. It takes elements from Mary Shelley's novel and replaces the characters with notable ones from the DC universe. Even a Bride of Frankenstein makes an appearance, which was something that didn't fully materialize in the book before being destroyed, but did make an appearance in the iconic 1935 film. The Superman monster draws heavily from its source material, which makes it very predictable and formulaic, but I still think it can be a fun read regardless. It is an Elseworld story after all, so it should be taken as such. The Superman monster shares many of the same themes as the Frankenstein novel. It discusses the power science holds and if by wielding it, we have any right to become God, essentially achieving our own immortality. Victor Luther becomes drunk with this power and obsessed with creating life from something once dead. It's only after creating the monster that he is struck with guilt over what he has done, another topic discussed in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The death of a loved one throws him over the edge, but, shit happens, and it was his fault anyways. The Superman monster also attacks the idea of life. What does it mean to truly be alive? Though Superman may lack a soul, an entirely different argument many could have, he still deserves compassion because he expresses emotions and feelings. He has human instinct, therefore must be alive, right? Again, while a fairly straightforward adaptation of the source material, I think the Superman monster still hits the nail on the head with many, if not all, of these ideas. It's quite effective. I mean, Superman by himself is alienated from the rest of humanity. Make him Frankenstein's monster, and it writes itself. The Superman monster was a sequel to 1998's Batman Two Faces, which adapted Robert Louis Stevenson's A Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'll probably get to that story at some point, but reading it is not necessary because apart from a few nods to it in the prologue and epilogue, it doesn't affect the main narrative of the Superman monster in any way. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned for more Halloween-themed videos all week long leading up to October 31st. I will see all of you in the next one.